And this castle, which was built around the 13th century, stands guard majestically atop the hill to guard the adjacent valley and the entire surrounding area. The first line of defence, the outer walls of the castle, very, very significant in their size, scale and scope. We can see here the robustness of the military architecture, the strength of the walls, the height, the thickness. They're very thick walls, and the size, the scale of the castle is also enormous, and that is borne out by the dimensions of the outer walls. Now we can see here a stairway which takes you from part of the outer wall going up towards the defensive part of the wall, of the same outer wall, facing out in that direction, whilst here at this juncture we have the outer wall facing over the town of Moclin. So the outer walls, of course, surround the entire castle, and they are very significant in their scale and scope, form a very robust military architecture. And from here, the defenders of the castle of Moclin could very easily see far and wide across the entire landscape. So the location of this castle, it has to be said, the Hisnan Moclin in Arabic, the Moclin Castle, known in Spanish as Moclin Castle, the location is very, very strategic. Command, the soldiers at the castle could guard this entire area. And then behind me we have a further panoramic view all the way in that direction, which is many, many kilometres in that direction, the view, as we will see, of the surrounding area which this castle would be protecting. On our way up to the inner walls of the Moclin Castle, we come across caves, and these are prehistoric. And no doubt in prehistoric times, this outcrop, this hill, was a vantage point for people thousands and thousands of years. Provide excellent shelter, also for the Muslim soldiers in regard to the stores and supplies. And they are halfway between the outer walls and the inner walls. Moving up on our way through the well-preserved pathway from the Islamic era, from the outer walls to the inner walls, we come towards the inner walls, and we can see from the outside. Now the merlons, those defensive structures on the walls of Muslim castles, they are no longer extant, so not everything survives from this castle from the original period. Well, this is the entranceway, the only entranceway into the keep, the inner walls. So to my left here, as you could see, very ancient and very formidable inner walls. Now if you could follow me through the entranceway and up into the keep. We have a tower to the right, and this is used to protect the entranceway. Evidence of the prowess of the Muslims of Granada in regard to the military architecture and military science. Now we go up this gradient to the keep. This is the inner castle. The area is not massive, but for a keep I would say it is quite large, in fact. And here we have the nucleus of the castle, not the only part of the castle. We have defensive walls, and the views from here are even more majestic than what we've seen so far. So towards the left, if we start here at the tower, you can see the view, the defensive view, evidence of a part of the castle, the inner castle. This is a room which could be used for storage and accommodation. Remember, this castle is a barracks, so plenty of soldiers around. And we'll be looking at this in more detail a little later on. Then if we proceed up, lovely tree in the centre here, we see over this way the bastions. These are actual military ramparts, which were awesome. If you consider the height we're at, quite an achievement to have built these, and these structures are still standing today. You can see the steep decline over there. It's very difficult for a Crusader army to approach the castle, and if they got all the way up here, which is very difficult, they'd have to face these sort of bastions in the wall. The wall of this stretch of the wall of this stretch of the castle is no longer visible. And then we have over here a rampart, defensive rampart. See something of the amount of territory that the view of this castle commands over there. This castle conquered 500 years ago. It was eventually conquered by the Crusaders. The enormous area, the view that this castle commands. Top that outcrop, another watchtower. And they were built to protect this castle itself. This was forward military defence. If we follow up this way, my memory serves me correctly, we have more of a spectacular view of the water tower. Now, this tower was built several hundred years ago by Muslim soldiers at the castle in order to have a supply of water. The water was natural, rainwater. That most or much of this castle has been preserved. This attests to the ingenuity of the Muslim military architects. Also attests to the very good work undertaken by the Spanish government and the Andalusian government in regard to conservation of the heritage sites, including the Muslim heritage sites.